Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to My Life After GLP-1 Medication podcast. I'm your co-host, Ashika, and joining us is our host, Ryan Joseph Kopiar.
Hello, Ashika. Good to be with you. Welcome back, everybody. Honored for you all to join us.
So this is our first episode, and we're just going to get right into it. Self-image. I mean, there's so much that we can say, but I really love the way Ryan explains self-image, what's going on behind the scenes of the GLP medication. Let's talk about the human being.
Self-image, okay? Self-image is the mental blueprint that we have of ourself internally. It's how we really see ourselves deep, deep, deep down inside, how we see ourselves. Now, very often there can be a shift or a difference in kind of how somebody is objectively when they look in the mirror, and then what somebody sees when they actually see themselves in the mirror. What is incredible about really this kind of medical, just well, I was going to say insanity, but that's not the right word. That has a negative connotation. But the middle of this, medical revolution, perhaps would be the right word to say of what we're in with GLP-1 weight loss, is that GLP-1 medications are providing an opportunity for individuals to be able to have a body transformation in a profound and what we would identify as a rapid kind of way. And so that means that their physical body is changing. But what the GLP-1 medication is not doing, the GLP-1 medication cannot do this. It cannot change the internal self-image that you have of yourself. And so, the reason why I was so excited for you and I to write the neurobiological journey of GLP-1 weight loss is because I really wanted to help people to understand that although we can be changing our physical image of ourself, and that's beautiful, that's amazing, right? That there also needs to be an internal self-image shift that needs to occur alongside of that. That's what you and I have identified as missing from a very large part of the conversation around GLP-1 medication. And quite frankly, if you want to come off the GLP-1 medication and you want to be able to maintain it, that self-image needs to match, because if it doesn't match, it becomes very difficult to maintain the weight loss.
Right. Okay. Thank you for explaining that really well. So when someone is looking at themselves in the mirror and they can see their physical body is shifting, but when they look right in the eye, they still see that same person who was overweight, who had the same behavioral patterns. Now, once someone notices that, okay, they're on the GLP medication, they're experiencing that weight loss, they're getting that dopamine hit, but when they look in the mirror and they connect to their old self, what would you suggest is the first thing that person can do to start creating that new self-image? Like you're aware of that. What do you do then?
Yeah, normalize it. Let's
What does that mean?
normalize it. Let's normalize it just for a brief moment. You ever got a new pair of clothes, a new pair of shoes?
Yes.
Do you ever get a new car, right? It feels a little weird at first. You're like, "Oh man, like I'm excited about these new clothes, right? But like I don't quite feel fully grounded in them yet, right? Maybe you got the new car and you're super excited, but there's also this part of you that's like, oh, like this is new to me. I wonder if other people are going to think it's new, or is it really mine? Okay. Or these
Mm,
different things, right? So anybody that's, got a new pair of sneakers, a new dress, a new suit, a new car, whatever the case may be, you've already experienced that feeling. It's more impactful if we're talking about, it being your physical body and maybe you've lost 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 pounds. But inherently that feeling is not new. You just perhaps haven't identified it in that way. So the first thing that we want to do is normalize it, which is to say, hey, this is a new body for me, right? And I'm learning how to feel safe in it. I'm learning how to love it. I'm learning how to eat for it,
Mm,
amongst many other things. Okay, so that's the first thing we want to do is we want to normalize it, and then the next thing that we want to do is we want to begin to embrace this as, hey, this is me. This is now who I am. And this is the identity shift piece that really comes into things. And that takes some time, right? So we want to take some time to love on ourselves. We want to take some time to ground into it. We want to take some time to tell ourselves, hey, I love you, and this is where you deserve to be. This is that healthier version that you deserve, healthier version of you that you deserve to be, living out.
yeah, I love that. And within that container, there's a lot of frustration around it too. There's frustration because you feel like you're caught in two different worlds. It's like you don't know if you're coming or going, honestly. Like if we were to just plain and simple put it, that it's okay if you feel frustrated. It's okay if you feel confused. What is not okay is if you do it on your own.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's really important to understand because we don't also want to shame and guilt ourselves, right? Again, going back to like I know we, both of us being personal trainers in the past, ourselves or clients that I've worked with. But again, I'll just use myself as an example. When I was going through that relationship with food and losing the weight after my pregnancy, there was a lot of frustration. There was a lot of you're not worthy, you're not enough, like that old self-conditioning, that old narrative that keeps playing when you're standing in front of the mirror and you're looking at your new self and you feel you don't feel part of your past world and you don't feel fully grounded in your in where you are headed. So can you speak a little bit about if someone is feeling that?
Yeah, that's exactly where you should be.
Mm,
I'm happy that you're there. Perfect. That's exactly a part of the process, and that means that you're going through transformation. There's a grief process. I mean, we could go on and on, but
we could.
I'll wrap us up here in
Yeah.
just a couple of minutes, and we'll dive into it further in future episodes. But I would say this: there's a grief process, and I don't want to be negative when I say
Mm,
grief. Right? There can also be beautiful tears around the grief process as we're shedding that identity, not only the physical version of ourselves who may be, leaner, healthier, whatever the case may be, we are grieving that past more unhealthier version of ourselves. So there's a grief process that goes along with
yeah.
that old identity dying, that old identity shifting off and beginning to embrace the new identity. Again, it's all part of the process. And so we don't need to fear or be worried that we're doing something wrong or burden ourselves with guilt or shame. And also, very important, that we let ourselves know that we are deserving of this new, healthier version of ourselves. And that will help that kind of liminal space in between. Hey, I'm not the person that I once was, but I don't quite feel fully grounded into this new body. So that would be the message that I would share with everybody that feels like they're kind of in that in between. Yeah, you are in that in between, but guess what? It also means that you're right in the midst of a deep, transformation. That's something that you deserve, that we celebrate you for, that we're happy, that you're experiencing, and all of the emotions that come with it. And most importantly, I'll wrap up with this: that you're not alone,
Mhm.
and that Ashika and I have created a community of individuals that are right where you are, and that you don't have to go through it alone. And there is a safe space that can be held for you relative to the psychological, mental, and emotional transformation that comes along with GLP-1 weight loss that you're just not hearing about from the medical community or more of the mainstream community.
Yes, I love that. And that's why having the workbook that we're putting out is going to also be important to be part of that community. Well, guys, that wraps up our episode on self-image. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, you'd be able to get a hold of us with our links and show notes and our Facebook community and our programs that are going to be coming up. We'll catch you guys later next time. Bye for now.